Okay, fine. Thank you. Let me share the screen, then we'll start. Can you see my screen? Okay, fine. So last time we were someone's audio is on. Can you please mute it? So the last class we were talking about something related to machining. So there we were discussing about like when you are trying to do machining, you have single point cutting, multi-point cutting, basically it is multi-point cutting means we are talking about the tools basically. The single point cutting tool, multi-point cutting tool, and abrasives. So for the time being, whenever we are saying machining, whenever we talk saying we are machining. So for the time being, consider that this is material removal by some means that we'll discuss in the later part of the course. Okay. So when we say machining means, that means the material is being removed, and the material removed is like gradually. It is not instantaneously. It is gradually you are removing the material. So where we were talking about single point cutting, multi-point cutting, and abrasive wheels, where abrasive wheels also can be used to remove the material. So when it comes to the single point cutting tool, so what are the basic operations which we know is that turning, pacing, and what we call boring, shaping, planing. So these, if you try to see all these operations, in all the operations, the material is being removed based on the single point contact, the single point contact of the tool and workpiece. That means at any point of time, if you see the contact between the tool and workpiece is only a point. This is a point contact actually, it's a single point contact. Whereas when we talk about multi-point cutting tools, so there we have like milling. We cannot say grinding, but yeah, we can say like drilling, milling, and drilling. Some of the multi-point cutting tools where we are going to talk actually. And the abrasive wheels. Abrasive wheels means that you have a wheel on the top, you will have all the abrasives, and that will be used to remove the material. So that is similar to like a grinding. In the grinding process, abrasive wheels are used, right? So this is what we were, which we were talking about single, multi-point, and the the other operations, right? So let us come to the single point cutting tool where you are turning, facing, even boring. This is possible on the machine where you know some basics about your lathe machine. The machine which we are going to talk now is that nothing but the lathe machine. So let me zoom it actually. Yeah, can you see this picture? So this is basically, let me zoom it more. This is basically the lathe machine which everyone knows, which everyone have seen in your the workshop. Is becoming very bad. Let me just. So this is basically the lathe machine which you have seen in your the first year workshop. Maybe some of the students, not many, might have seen. Now, if you see what are the various elements, in the sense that what are the various components of this lathe machine. So this will be like whatever you have the base structure. This is nothing but your bed. This is basically the horizontal bed, where this horizontal bed we were talking in the last semester, that is being manufactured by casting process. The beds are generally manufactured by casting process. Okay. Now, so let me again zoom it. If you see, there are various accessories on this lathe machine. Can someone tell what is this element called? What is this accessory called? Where you are going to hold the workpiece? Anyone?
Chucks.
Basically, you call it as chuck, right? Or you can call that is also as headstock. The chuck is also called as headstock. Basically, it is not that only chuck headstocks, the integration part will come as headstock. So when we talk about the main elements in any of your lathe machine, the first will be like, let me write actually. The first one which we talk is that headstock. You have to remember all these names actually. There is something called as tailstock. I will explain each and every individual accessories. Then you will have a carriage. You have a horizontal bed. Actually, the horizontal bed is this one, where you are supporting all various elements actually. Okay. Now let me open only this figure, then we can talk actually. Just 1 second. Insert. Yeah, now I think it should be visible. Okay. So this is what the lathe machine which we were talking. And as I said, this element is called chuck or headstock. And the one and there is something the end of this one, this is called as tailstock. What is the purpose of this headstock, tailstock also? We are going to see. And where you are going to post your cutting tool, where you are going to handle the cutting tool, this is called as carriage. It is basically the carriage will be the entire thing. The entire thing you call it as carriage, which supports all the tools and the accessories for the and also the field movement. So there are only basically 4 elements, which this is the bed we are talking. You have the headstock, you have the tailstock, and the carriage. These are the only 4 basic elements you must be knowing. Okay, so this carriage will hold the tool, will hold the cutting tool. Now, when we talk about this chuck or the headstock, what we say, this chuck is we use to hold the workpiece. Means you have workpiece holding is because of by the chuck, and the tool which you are going to grip here, that will be done on the carriage basically. Right? The purpose of tailstock is to hold long workpieces. So if you have a smaller workpiece, obviously you can use directly on the chuck. But if you have a longer workpiece, so the tailstock is used. The tailstock is used for long workpieces, holding long workpieces. Chuck is for the one end of the workpiece, carriage or the tool post. The carriage is used for the tool. All these three elements will be there on your bed. As I told you, these heavy elements like chuck, even the tailstock, bed, even these things, they are all done by the fundamental manufacturing process, which is nothing but your casting. Because these will be having lot of what you call vibrations when you try to do machining operations. That is the reason why they are done by casting, and some elements will be there done by the forging also. Now, the first question which should have is that what should be the length between the tailstock and the chuck? The chuck and tailstock distance between these two, this is called as your bed size. In the sense that is the amount of, that is the length of the component which you can hold in any of your lathe operation. That is what it says. Fine. So now this chuck when we talk, in this chuck also there are the types of chucks. You can have 3-jaw, 4-jaw. This we'll see in detail later. Now the tailstock, as I told, the workpiece which you are going to hold at this location, and this is the end point of the workpiece. The tailstock is only to have the hold the longer workpieces. Now when we talk about what should be the diameter of the workpiece, that is what you have to see. So when I say that chuck is only to hold the workpiece, what should be the how much workpiece the chuck can hold, right? So there is a thumb rule actually. If your L/D ratio is less than 3, if the L/D ratio is less than 3, only chuck will serve the purpose. Only chuck will serve the purpose if the L/D ratio is, suppose your diameter is 20 mm. So the length of the workpiece is, let's say, 60 mm. I'm just saying a thumb rule. But people will have 100 mm also. L/D is 3 to 5 generally they consider. But strictly speaking, according to the design data, so the L/D ratio should be less than 3. So then only it can be used only with respect to the chuck. Only chuck will be sufficient to hold the workpiece. That is something like a cantilever you are going to hold actually. Okay, suppose if it is 20 mm, L will be like 60 to 100 mm. Length will be sufficient if you are going to hold this length of the workpiece. Now, in the last class, we talked about something related to primary motion and the feed motion. We have talked about the primary motion. So the primary motion is given to the workpiece in the case of a lathe machine, because the workpiece is held in the chuck, and the chuck which is there, this is going to rotate because of the spindle, because on the spindle only the chuck is mounted actually. The spindle, whatever the chuck which you are going to see, this chuck, basically it rotates. This rotation is because of the spindle input power which you are going to give. Now, if you see there are a large amount of levers actually, how to change the spindle speed, those things. Like we'll see what will be the relation, mathematical relation to change the speeds, the gear ratio that we are going to see. So this chuck, when it rotates, which is mounted on the spindle, so that is the motion which is given to the workpiece. That is the primary motion. This is what we have given. We have told in the last class. And what is the other motion which we talked? Can someone tell what is the other motion? Anyone? Yeah, correct, Atharva. So there we were talking about the feed motion. So we are talking about feed motion. So the feed motion is given to the tool. Now you see, The primary motion when you are given to the workpiece is rotating. And the tool feed motion has to be given either transverse direction or in the longitudinal direction based on the type of operation which you are going to use. Fine? Right. So let us talk about single point cutting tool. The single point cutting tool or the lathe tool. This is held in the tool post. Right? So this is held in the either the tool holder or the tool post. Let me zoom it and I'll show you actually. So this is the case. This is the location where your tool holder. The tool holder is there. So the tool holder will be this element on this one. You are going to hold the tool. The single point cutting tool. This is then the tool post or tool holder also we can call it actually. In a conventional lathe machine, you have four tools simultaneously. Means you can hold it, but simultaneously at one point you can do only one operation basically. Okay. Now this carriage, the tool holder or the tool post. If you see this tool post, the tool holder, which is there mounted on the cross slide, in the sense that you have cross slide means you have this sliding motion and this also moves in the means like you can have something like this. This you can do in this motion, you can rotate or translate, and this also. That means there is a wedge type of thing on the tool post where you can move it is perpendicular to you the board means or the screen which you are going to see, and this is one direction where the tool post. That is the reason why we call it as a cross slide actually. And this cross slide which is there on the carriage, this is mounted on the carriage, and the carriage will be moving on this slides which is there on the bed or whatever you. This is basically the bed, and this is the slide. The transverse movement is given by the along the bed. So this is the movement transfer, and this movement you can do it using a lead screw. The transverse movement, the transfer motion of the bed or the carriage is done using a lead screw. We'll talk lead screw also. We will talk what is the purpose actually. Okay, or some people used to use rack and pinion also. You might have heard about rack and pinion, no? Can someone tell whether have you heard about rack and pinion or not? Rack and pinion. Hello? Yes. So can you tell me, Atharo, what is this rack and pinion? Shubham or whoever it is. What is this rack and pinion? What type of motion you are going to get in the rack and pinion? You know.
Sir, in that we convert rotary motion into linear.
So you are going to convert rotary into the linear motion. So you will be having one rod which you are going to have some threads, and on the top you will have your pinion, and it is like basically a gear involvement. The moment it is rotating, it moves in this direction. So rack and pinion will give from rotary motion to the linear motion you are going to get. Right? Right. So when we talk about this carriage, I am talking. No, this carriage is basically they try to always keep it stationary actually unless there is some movement. Right. Now, as I said, the feed motion we are talking. Let us come back again to the feed motion. So we are talking about the feed motion. This feed motion, as we are saying that it is having both the transverse movement and also the longitudinal movement. Now this feed motion, actually basically what generally we try to do is that this means like if I try to mark something like this, let me say like this, or let's say this is the motion. So then this is your X, Y, Z. Now the field, let's say the tool is something like this here. So this is the Z-axis moment. And here on this one, the workpiece is mounted. This axis, the axis of the tool, you have the basically the workpiece which is mounted on the chuck. So the workpiece is something like this. This is the workpiece. And this rotates. So this rotates means what? It is on the Z-axis. We said that this is C-axis. That means the workpiece rotation is C-axis. Now the tool movement is in this direction because the tool, once the workpiece is something like this, the tool has to move in the left side direction, then only the cutting process is going to take place. So that will be in the minus Z direction or whatever it is. If you are going to do left hand, right hand cutting, that we'll see later. So this, consider this as my Z axis, and you will have X direction also the movement. So why you are giving X direction? There is no Y direction. It's the later axis. There are only two motions for the linear movement in the lathe operation. Okay, for the time being, consider your X and Z are only two motions, X and Z in lathe machine. There is no Y axis. We'll see actually. Now, when we talk about the tool feed motion, the tool has to move in this direction. Right? Distance moved by the tool. So here, when we talk about the feed, is nothing but, please make sure this you have to be very careful. The distance moved by the tool, distance moved by the tool for each revolution of the workpiece. Please make an important note. Feed is nothing but the distance where the tool moves for each revolution of the workpiece. Means distance means what? mm. And each revolution means what? mm per revolution. Right? So there are mm per revolution feed is also given. And mm per minute is also given. Because the spindle which rotates, that will be given as RPM, revolution per minute. So that is also possible, that we'll see in the later part. So for the time being, so it is nothing but feed F is nothing but the tool movement in the any of the direction, per revolution of the workpiece. Right? It is the tool displaced relative to the workpiece rotation. We can call it as the relative to the workpiece in the direction of the feed motion. So the feed motion, as we said, we are having in this direction. Feed is defined as the distance moved by the tool for each revolution of the workpiece. Let us give some example. I hope various elements of the lathe we will see in the coming classes actually. Let me open a new slide. Okay, let us consider the length. We will talk about feed F, and let me consider the workpiece length is whatever is the workpiece length, but I am going to move only some length L. We are going to have the cutting is going to take place only up to the length L. So that means length of the workpiece, I'll say. Only the cutting length we are talking. And how can you get the number of revolutions of the workpiece? Number of revolutions of the workpiece. that can be given by length of the workpiece by feed, right? But we are saying it is nothing but the distance moved per revolution of the workpiece, we said, right? Feed is nothing but distance by per revolution, we said, right? And the number of revolutions of the workpiece you can get by length of the workpiece by the feed. Now, once you get this one, the length of the workpiece you have, feed also you have, and the number of revolutions per workpiece also now you got. What is the time taken? What will be your time taken? Means time taken to machine this length for a feed of F and length LW is given by time for machining is given by LW by feed NW. Right? Now, what is this NW? We'll see later. Basically, NW is whatever is the like now. If you are going to move only once, then it will be 1. It is basically for one number of passes. I can say number of passes. Number of passes. Second length is so this is the okay, no, this is not TM. So basically the machining time. So machining time. So okay, this machining time is given by length of the workpiece by feed. Yes. So the total machining time we are talking. Okay. Now, so when we are talking about this machining, let's say the workpiece is something like this. This is what the workpiece you have. The red color is the workpiece which you have. Sorry, this is chucked now, so it has to be at this location. So this workpiece, that means this amount of material you are removing in one pass. Initially the workpiece in the red color and the finally something like this. That means you are going to give this much amount of material as your depth of cut. This is called as depth of cut. Now, in any of your machining process, the machining parameters are speed, depth of cut. These are the only 3 things which you will talk in any of your machining process, irrespective of the process, whether it is a turning, whether it is a milling, whether it is a drilling. Speed, feed, depth of cut are only the machining parameters. But people have added some more parameters that will not be a part of this course, basically. Right? Now, suppose this depth, whatever is the machine, whatever is the element or whatever is the material which you are removing, it is very heavy material if you are removing. Generally, in the roughing operation, large amount of material is removed actually. It is more material is removed. And you are left with only small amount of material for getting the final finish. So in the finishing operation, you will have a very fine, in the finishing, fine material removal. Now, when I say more amount of material is removed means what? How much more? That is more important actually. So that all depends on what is the input raw material which you are given and what is the external, what is the required diameter of the workpiece. That is more important. So most of the times in roughing operation, the bulk material is removed actually. The bulk material is removed. So when you try to remove bulk material, that means there will be, though the contact between the tool and workpiece only the single point, because of this heavy machining, there will be vibrations which is going to be generated. There will be large amount of vibrations which will be generated on the machine. on the machine, this vibration will reduce the quality of the workpiece. This reduce the quality is being reduced. Quality, how you are going to reduce the quality? Suppose your intention is only to make this one. Let's say this is what you are going to like 100 mm and your diameter is maybe somewhere around 20 mm. L by D is 50 only, no? Fine. So this 20 mm your L by D is only 5, sorry. So this 20 mm if you want, maybe because of this heavy vibration, the tool vibrates actually. You will not get whatever is the smooth surface you are looking for, you may not get a smooth surface. There will be some amount of undulations which you are going to see. That means you are going to deteriorate your surface finish, first thing. And I say quality means surface finish and the dimensions. And the dimensions in the sense that instead of 100 mm, you may not get 100 mm, either you might get plus or minus 2 mm more. So that means the dimensional accuracy is also hampered in the roughing operations. So there also, that is the reason why we are saying bulk material removal means how much bulk. Again, it is not that you are going to use like 5 mm depth of cut for a given tool material. So there are few specifications which you are going to follow to remove the material. Okay. So as I said, for the finishing operation, only small amount of material is being used to remove at the final cut. Okay, fine. Now let us talk about some of the features of your. This we are talking about lathe machine, so we should talk about only the single point cutting. So because we are talking about lathe, we will talk about little bit of single point cutting. Single point tool. Tool means, as I told, it's nothing but your cutting tool only. Single point cutting tool. Is it clear everything? Whatever I am trying to explain you? Karthik?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Kavya?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Prajwal, are you there? Prajwal Tumane? Prajwal
Yes, sir.
Tamane. Okay, fine. Yes, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Vinit?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay, fine. So let us talk something related to single point cutting tool. So what do you know about single point cutting tool? Can someone tell? You might have heard about single point cutting tool. Have you ever heard about single point cutting tool? Okay, fine. So in the single point cutting tool, you will have only one cutting point. The name itself says that you will have only one cutting point. That means one point is only your contact point between the tool and work. There is only one point of contact between the tool and the workpiece. Okay. Now, in any of your machining operations, when you are trying to do cutting, machining itself is nothing but removal, no cutting. So what is that you are removing? You are removing extra material. Right? Whatever is the material which is being removed, that is called as chip. These chips are waste material. Right? So once the material is removed from the workpiece, it is gone. It is not used again for that workpiece. That means you are separating this extra material from your parent workpiece material. Right? So let us talk when we talk about single point cutting tool. As I told, this is mostly used in lathe machine and even shaping or shapers, planers. They are also single point cutting tool, like boring, as I said. So that we'll see later. Okay, boring, planing, shaping, they are also single point cutting tools only. These are all like similar machine tools are. Now, how this cutting is going to take place? The mechanics of metal cutting, that will be dealt by Jole sir. So, but I will give you some brief idea what exactly the single point, how the single point cutting tool looks like. Okay. Just let me draw. I'll try to draw properly. Let us see. You have different like this. Just give me 2 minutes time. I'm just trying to draw this one too and tell you what exactly your single point cutting. This is not good actually. Let me. Okay, now this is basically what is that you have a, let's say this is like a cuboid. This cuboid or a, whatever is the, generally it is, yeah, it's cuboid only because it's a square cross section material actually. So this you have to cut at various locations such that you are going to get this one as the single point cutting tool. Now please observe very carefully what are the points which we are going to draw. Right? The component, this part, we should have gone like this. This part is called shank. This shank is being held in the tool post. This part where cutting is not performed is called as shank. This part is the cutting part. Means this part will be used for cutting part. This only part, this part is used for cutting. Right? So every tool will have its own basically an axis also. Let me draw that also then in that case. So we'll have some axis. Let us say this is tool axis. Maybe in the single point cutting tool it is not much use, but in the multi-point cutting tool it will be useful like in a drilling or a milling operation. Now this part, this one is because at the bottom this is called as base. Right? Now you have to be more attentive at this location. So this one, this component, this part I'm making as a separate color. This is called as major cutting edge. You see, these are all edges only. These are all edges where you are going to use in the machining operation. This part is the major cutting edge. Okay, let me call this again. There is a small green color at this location also. This is the minor cutting edge. I'm not talking anything related to angles right now. I'm just talking about which component of the cutting tool will be in contact with the workpiece. Fine? Okay. Let us call this portion the portion where this is called as minor flank. That is called minor flank. this portion is called major flank. Right? You have major cutting edge, minor cutting edge, minor flank, major flank. You have, right? Now, please observe carefully. Let us say this is the point basically where you are going to have contact with the workpiece at this location, because this is the only point we are saying. So we are saying it is a single point cutting tool. This corner, getting a perfect corner is difficult in any of the operations. So that is the reason why there will be a small radius which is given in the process. So what is that corner? I will call it as radius. Let us say directly it is corner radius. This is not a perfect one. So because of the design constraints, they don't give a sharp point. They will give some radius, which we will talk later. Okay. So you have the corner point. Now, the major part of the cutting tool is this one, in the sense that where you have to concentrate. Because material when you are removing, this is the face. This is the face where the material is flows and it gets separated from the workpiece. On this face, the chip flows or the material flows to get separated from the workpiece. Okay? Just see, observe carefully. Let me zoom it and show you. Right? This portion is the shank portion I said. This is the base. These are like ideal. They are not in use. This is only for holding. Now, this face where I was talking, this face is the one in which the material is going to be flowing. That means this face, the chip flows and gets separated. Now, as I said, this is the point where we are talking. This is the point where we are talking the contact between the workpiece and the tool. So this is the corner, this corner or the cutting point basically. But the cutting is done over a period of, initially it will start with point, but this is the major cutting edge. And there is a minor cutting edge. This is the major flank. This is the minor flank. Basically, they are supporting your cutting edges. So this corner is not exactly corner. It will have some radius. This is called as corner radius. So means this, when I try to divide this one into two parts, one will be your cutting part, the other will be your ideal part or the shank part, or where the part is being held in the tool post. Means you have major cutting edge, minor cutting edge, major flank, minor flank. These four along with the radius, they are very, very important. Now, you see, when I say this face, it is not exactly flat face. It will have some inclination. What should be the inclination? If you say this flank, whatever is the flank which you are going to see, this is not a perfect flat surface. If you see from the top, it will have some inclination. It will have some sort of chamfer, even the minor. And this cutting edge, this is, though it's a straight line, but if you see from the top, it is not, means like, what we can say is it's an inclined line which you are going to see. Right? So when I was thinking of explaining the tool nomenclature. Tool nomenclature, I will explain in the next lecture. So there you will get to know what is the type of inclination, how the face is being inclined with the base, how this flank face is being looking like, or how your major cutting edge is having some inclination, what will be the corner radius, what will be the minor edge, what should be the inclination with respect to the surfaces. So if I try to consider this as like three-dimensional, so this, if I try to see the same thing which I am trying to do like this. So this This is one axis, this is one axis, and this is whatever is that. I'm just giving some x, y, z. So with respect to these axes, what are these inclinations of these faces, edges, and the radius that we are going to see? Okay, so what we have discussed right now in respect to the cutting tool is you will have a face on which chip flows. You will have major cutting edge where most of the cutting is going to take place along the edge. You will have minor cutting edge, right? You will have major flank surface. You have minor flank surface. You have corner radius. You have shank, that is called as shank part, but shank is nothing but we can call it as base also, which is there, which you are going to hold in the tool post, right? So you will have major cutting edge, minor cutting edge, major flank, minor flank, corner radius, the tool post, which the part with which you are going to hold in the tool post. And the major one is that this face is very, very important because the chip is going to flow along this face only. How this chip is going to flow and what is the type of mechanism, those things will be explained by Jolie sir. Okay, so I'll be talking about only the tool angles, only one sort of system, tool nomenclature I'm going to discuss in the next lecture. Okay, so please don't forget that the primary motion is for the workpiece. The feed motion is for the tool. Primary and feed motion, they are very important motions which is given to the workpiece and the tool. Okay, is it clear everyone? Okay. So can we do machining operation other than cylindrical workpiece on a lathe? Can we do machining operation other than cylindrical? Yes. Okay, let me explain it. So somebody has asked, who is that asked? Atharva? Saurabh is asking that can we do other machining operations apart from the cylindrical workpiece? It is possible. So, but most of the operations which are done on the lathe machine are axisymmetric components. Axisymmetric components. But the reason why you have asked, I should explain also. So, apart from your cylindrical components, you can always use these components, means like the square cross section components can be also machined. But the output which you are going to get on these workpieces also, they are all axisymmetric. It doesn't mean that you can get a square cross section from the given workpiece on a lathe machine. It is not possible. Is it okay, Saurabh? The output is only axisymmetric components because the workpiece is rotating along the axis. So the machining components other than cylindrical components, you are going to get a milling and the other process which we are going to discuss in the later. Yes, but the workpiece, whether it is a cylinder, the input workpiece, or it's a billet, that is possible to hold based on the chuck configuration. This also we are going to talk, the chuck configuration. Whether it is a 3-jaw chuck, whether it is a 4-jaw chuck, or a turret, whatever it is, that we are going to see in the later part. Fine. Let me stop sharing. Anything else? If you want to ask, please ask it. Okay, then if you don't have any questions, let me stop here. Anything you want to ask, Ujjwal?